Now, I can't be the only one here that feels that there's no need to expand the character of Rey past the sequel trilogy, past the end of The Rise of Skywalker. We had 3 movies for Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy, we had 3 movies focusing on Rey, so why do we have a need by those like Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Kathleen Kennedy, and Stephen Knight to actually make another series of Rey films? Well, we all know the answer behind this is that, number one, they're playing things safe by introducing familiar aspects that have already been established, and number two, it's really all about pushing an agenda when it comes to Sharmeen Chinoy and her overall vision of what Star Wars should be all about. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Sharmeen that I think has been stirring up a lot of drama, not just with the fandom, but also within the actual Lucasfilm headquarters. We know that a lot of George Lucas loyalists, as well as Lucas himself, have a very big problem with the upcoming Rey focus film. Both Kathleen Kennedy, Sharmeen, and even Daisy Ridley have been very open and direct to the general public that this has a really good shot at becoming a full-fledged trilogy. So not only are we returning with another Rey movie, they want to turn this into a 3-movie format if the first movie does very well, which honestly, guys, I don't believe it will even pick up the way things are going right now. But let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, we know that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is another director that is just out of her mind and really knows nothing about Star Wars as much as Leslie Headland. She knows nothing as well. This is exactly why I feel The Acolyte will be yet another Last Jedi situation, a Last Jedi 2.0 scenario. However, on top of this, with director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy actively heading into damage control for the upcoming Rey movie by Kathleen Kennedy, one major development has to do with Sharmeen and what she had to deliver to the fandom by stating the following. I am so honored to be taking advantage of this opportunity that was fulfilled, all because of Kathleen Kennedy standing by my side, and how we can truly evolve the Star Wars brand into something entirely new. Our film will be a project for women by women, and I couldn't be any happier to lead the way on how we will change how fans view the franchise forever. I think it's about time that we disconnect and not cater to loud, biased opinions that feel entitled to how a story should be told. I got the chance to talk this over with Daisy, and we both unsurprisingly agreed that the fandom is a very big problem and they are very loud. I think many directors and writers in this industry have fallen into the trap of listening to the fans. It's a toxic culture that we live in that absolutely needs to be corrected, and I believe our upcoming film is going to change everyone's mind. Fans need to realize that the Skywalkers no longer hold any kind of relevance anymore. Kathy told me that this is all over and done with, and we really didn't want to revisit that again. We are going over the final touches of the script right now with Steven to make sure this will be the best story that we can tell for the next generation, that won't hold any kind of a burden to George's vision beforehand. I am also proud to confirm that this will be our first female ensemble cast in a Star Wars movie that will show the importance of being a woman and what women stand for. I feel that we are always going to deal with loud, biased people that will remain distant at this approach, and that's their choice to do so. But I have been having the time of my life working with Steven and Kathy on how we can truly reconfigure the Star Wars franchise into something that will catch that lightning in the bottle again, that I think over the past 5 or so years struggled with. Both Kathy and I agreed that we had to exclude any of George's older endorsed material from what fans like to call Legends or the Expanded Universe, and it's about time we focus on expanding Rey's journey with a new story to tell. Now guys, let me just pause here before I get to the big conclusion that Sharmeen has to deliver. Now again, Sharmeen is really just going full blast here on the fans and really pointing the finger that there is no longer any kind of a need to address the Skywalkers or George Lucas's vision of Star Wars and what it's really all about at the end of the day, right? we all know exactly what inspiration George drew the stories for Star Wars from. And a lot of it had to do with real-world events, history, many different aspects in that field. And now what they want to do is that they seemingly want to get rid of all of that and that entire approach by George. They want to do something that is going to essentially tarnish the brand even further than what Kathleen Kennedy had already did with the sequel trilogy movies and some of the spin-offs. Now look, we know that Kathleen Kennedy, anything that she touches is going to become a disaster. That's pretty much a damn given at this point. We saw what she did to the Kenobi show. We all witnessed what she did to The Mandalorian Season 3 after she intervened with that whole entire thing. That's why I hold little to no hope right now about The Mandalorian and Grogu film, and The Mandalorian Season 4, which is really up in the air right now still. But what's interesting about this, again, has a lot to do with Sharmeen doubling down on her overall stance on what Star Wars now is going to be all about. A female ensemble cast, a story about women and what women stand for, essentially, and how it's going to be created by a woman. And look, this is exactly what I'm talking about, why these movies fail, is that they're focusing on ideology, they're focusing on an agenda, and that's where you lose focus of what the story should really be about and what character development should really be, you know, illustrated as in the script. And that's where it's falling flat. That's why the script is taking so long to finish, even after the writer's strike, guys. Even after everything that happened with SAG. You know, usually, writers are given 6 weeks or more to kind of get up a script, you know, bring it up to the studio, demonstrate what the story's going to be about, any final touches they can add to that later on. And it's taken them more than that just to add the final touches to the ending of this movie. So moving onwards, she goes on to conclude, I have full faith that we will even be able to turn this into a full-fledged trilogy. There she goes again about a trilogy that could quite frankly surpass the impact the originals had. It's really going to be a story that will change the hearts of fans forever, and Daisy is just dying to tell everyone all about what she knows so far. Kathy is a great producer and leader, and I believe she doesn't deserve some of the reception that she has received over the years from the loud minority. This is a film about detaching from the burden of Lucas's previous vision so that we hold no boundaries to what we can establish in this thrilling adventure that will rattle the entire fandom. So again, I mean, she's really putting it out there that she views the fandom as very loud and toxic and a problem, essentially, when it comes to Star Wars. And in reality, what it really boils down to is that people like Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, who really allowed Kathleen Kennedy to do whatever she wanted to do, upset and really kind of angered a lot of passionate fans that grew up with this stuff. You know, we gotta remember that Star Wars spans generations, alright? Even before the sequel trilogy came out, it spanned generations. Alright, this thing started back in 1977 onwards, and a lot of people grew up with this. Whether you're a prequel or an original trilogy fan, doesn't matter. Tons of people grew up with it and grew up with George's vision, and you just can't let that go. You can't detach that format, that style, so to speak, that Sharmeen and Steven, along with Kathy, are trying to break right now. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.